and so we couldn't determine if those were filed accurately. We did see that those 5 quarters had discrepancies between what the IRS said the total tax was that was filed and what the payroll registers say should have been the tax. But there are a few different reasons why those could have been different, and it may not have been that the reports were inaccurate. The reports may have been accurate, the payroll filing or the payroll system may have had something taxable that wasn't. So there may have been a discrepancy there. We had 6 quarters where duplicate 941s were filed. A typical process for 941 is that a 941 is filed at the end of the quarter. After all the payroll has been processed, you file one 941. If you need to make corrections to that 941, you file a 941X, which is an amended 941. So there were 6 quarters that duplicate 941s were filed, as many as 5 in 2 different quarters. As of June 30th, 2025, the underpaid 941 taxes were $184,552.93. In September, $85,607.28 was paid towards that amount, which leaves $98,946 plus penalties and interest remaining to be paid. So that is still outstanding. The periods those are for is Q1 of 2019, Q2 of 2020, Q3 of 2020, and Q2 of 2021. Those are indicated because the IRS has different amounts on file for what was actually supposed to be paid. And those would be indicated by incorrect 941s filed and not amended. So currently the IRS does not know, even though they should, the IRS does not know that those quarters were underpaid. Those were paid based on what was filed. What was filed was too short. There is an amended return that needs to be filed for those 4 quarters, which Landmark will do. When those are filed, the IRS will be notified that additional tax is due, and then they will start to calculate penalties on that. So far to date, what we have seen through Q2 of 2025, starting in Q1 of 2018, $105,831.87 in penalties and interest have been incurred and paid. And there will be more penalties and interest when those other amended returns are filed. At the end of our engagement, which we have 2 concurrent engagements going, the agreed upon procedures, which is what we're talking about. Basically, we have 8 different items that Landmark is looking at, and we're reporting back our findings. So there are 8 items that the council has given to us. Look at this, tell us what you find, and we report back what we found. An agreed upon procedures does not give an opinion, it just states facts. The second engagement that we have is kind of a bookkeeping, accounting, consulting engagement, which under that engagement, we will do 7 amended 941s. We've done 3 so far, and we have those 4 remaining to do. That is most of what we have on the 941s at this point. The second main issue that we have found is in the liabilities. So liabilities, when you look at the statement of financial position, there are liabilities that are negative. Quite a few liabilities are negative, some liabilities that are extremely high, abnormally high. So as we dug through those and looked at what was happening, payments weren't being applied appropriately. There were instances where loan payments were being made to an account. There was no original loan on the books. There should have been, but that entry was never made. So that those payments created negative liability balances because the original loan was not incurred. That original loan would be for most likely something large, a large purchase, maybe vehicles, something of that nature, which indicates that that expenditure for those vehicles was not on the books either. If the loan wasn't on the books, the expenditure wasn't on the books. Generally that happens, we see that happen when there's a loan, there's no cash activity for that. So you've got a loan statement, a loan that's created, and a vehicle that's received. That's not a cash transaction. The loan payments are the cash transaction, and the cash transactions are the only things that are being reported in the financial statements. Along those same lines, again in liabilities, and this will be part of the report, there's what's the very last item, it's item 8, in the agreed upon procedures, is a summary of all the liabilities and explanations for the activity within each one that create the balances that are there. But one of the others is Cigna. Cigna was a liability for an insurance, an employee benefit insurance. The liability was created based on employee benefits. There were some issues with how the payroll was coded for that liability, which overstated the liability. In turn, it also overstated the expenditures. That liability should have offset the expenditures. Therefore, the Cigna was too high, expenditures were too high, and there were no payments ever applied to that Cigna account. There were payments made, they were just posted to other accounts. So as a consistent finding, the actual posting of accounting transactions was inconsistent. Speaks to a lack of controls, lack of oversight in those financials. Those are the two main items that I saw. One thing that did become concerning, I think that concern has since quelled. When you look at lot fee and when you look at the liability for lot fee, the liability is created by the amounts that are paid in by the employees that are withheld from their paychecks, and also the amount that the city matches. If you look at those over time, the amount that the city paid into lot fee was significantly less over this tax period. However, there are amounts that are paid in on behalf of the city that the city doesn't necessarily have to pay. Up to 40% of the city's portion can be paid through other tax funds that wouldn't come out of the city. But those amounts were never entered into the system, so it's very hard to tell if you're just looking at that liability account if that was actually relieved properly. It appears when you look at it that lot fee was significantly underpaid, underfunded. But in reality, when you go into the lot fee account, if you put in the correct information for every employee for their wages, lot fee will tell you what to pay. And so lot fee will have the correct amounts. So that concern is quelled. It ends up more being an issue with the financial statements and what that liability shows on the books rather than an actual funding issue at this point. See what other items there are. We did do a review of amounts paid in for acres, amounts paid in for lot fee. Did a comparison of those. There are findings, there are differences in amounts paid in. They're small in most cases. There are some differences though in those. We looked at the, call it the SIMR, which is Self-Employed Medical Reimbursement Plan. I know that has had a lot of questions here. And looking through that, while I believe there may have been some other issues outside of just the accounting side of it, the accounting side of it does look to be correct as I've looked through that. And it's a complicated insurance product in the way that it's designed. It's unique and confusing, but I'll have something that will walk through how those calculations are done as part of the ADP. It does appear to be correctly calculated in the payroll system. Journal entries was another item that we looked at. My biggest finding on journal entries was there probably weren't enough. Not that there were any that were concerning or suspect, but there probably weren't enough journal entries. Speaking back to, if you've got a loan and an asset, a journal entry would need to be made to put those on the books, and it wasn't there. That is most of what we've looked at. The biggest concerns, obviously from a dollars and cents standpoint, is going to be the payroll taxes and the lack of filing those timely and paying those timely. Are there any questions that I can help to answer at this point?
What was the 98,000 that's still outstanding?
That is actual tax due.
No, I mean the amount.
Oh, the amount. The amount was $98,946.
And is that just tax?
That is just tax.
And that is for what quarter?
That is for Q1 of 2019, Q2 of 2020, Q3 of 2020, and Q2 of 2021. Initially, there was some thought that those may have been paid in less due to ERC credits. That was during the COVID pandemic, and there were employee retention credits that were paid out, but there was nothing indicated on the 941 copies that we were able to obtain that had any ERC credits on there.
On, the first quarter of 25, the print that we received showed total deposits of $206,558.79. And the print showed a overpayment of $144,060.95 at that time. That was incorrect?
That was incorrect. The IRS, while they do have some processes in place to communicate with the Social Security Administration and try to tie out 941s, W-2s, W-3s, that process doesn't always work the way that it's supposed to. Generally, they will send out a letter saying you have a mismatch. You issued W-2s in excess of what you reported on your 941s for the year. I have not seen a notice that says that, but that would be the notice that you would expect from the IRS, and that's what we should have seen for those periods for being underpaid.
I'm surprised the liens hadn't been filed. I think it was because of COVID.
That they did give an extended grace period during the COVID pandemic in those periods. Yes, they did.
Oh, I was just wondering if it appears that, of course, that was way over deposited. It shows the total tax by the taxpayer of $62,000 for that quarter, just under 62.5. I was wondering, I'm trying to figure out if that was the correct tax. It's not, and if there were overpayments for that. I'm trying to figure out in my brain why overpayments would have been made.
So, going back, trying to think of the best way to describe what I've seen in the payments here. So, a lot of the issues originated in 2018. In 2018, there was a period of time that taxes were not paid. So, in 2018, Q1, 2, 3, and 4, the date that the 941 was filed was January 30th of 2020. So there were payments that were not made either. Those payments were not made timely. What ultimately happened is one quarter was robbed for another quarter. So the quarters that were under-reported for the total amount due, the IRS said, "Oh, we got extra payments this quarter. Let's move it back here." So it's a bit of a jumbled mess to try to track all the dollars where they were supposed to go and where they ended up.
I guess in my mind, I'm thinking these payments, deposits were made so that they would be offset. That's my thing, but I don't know.
The deposits would be made so that they would offset the previous amounts due?
Yes, a large amount. Of course, I'm going by the principle we had before we got involved.
I'd have to go back and look at that period specifically. I don't actually have any numbers on here besides the penalty numbers, so I'd have to go back and look at what we've got for those periods. I'd be happy to do that for you.
By the way, I used to work for the IRS.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you know all about this.
Yes, sir.
The good and the bad.
I was in the collection division, yes, I know.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Okay, so I'm not as educated as Mike down there, so we still owe $98,946. You said the IRS doesn't know we owe that yet because you did the audit? Is
So,
that correct?
for example,
Or it
yes,
hasn't caught up yet?
yes, that is correct. It hasn't. The IRS hasn't caught up to that yet. The IRS shows, I'm going to make up a number because I don't have them in front of me, but I'll do them and make them for simple math. But if we're looking at, say, Q1 of 2019, we reported to the IRS that we only had to pay in $20,000 of taxes.
Now, these are made up numbers, correct?
These are made up numbers, yes.
Okay,
Made
I
up
just wanted to emphasize that for those that listen.
Made up
These are
numbers.
made up numbers to help me
I
understand.
have a table that's got the actual number. Actually, I believe some of these numbers I can't remember. Q2 and Q3 of 2020, I believe that there's about $75,000 the difference between what was reported to the IRS and what the payroll registers actually showed as. I think there was in $200 So, in the made-up example, Q1 of 2019, IRS shows based on the 941s reported that we owe $20,000. So that's what they're saying you owe, $20,000. Oh, you paid it. The reality from the payroll registers is that we owed $40,000. So the 941 was maybe sent in the middle of the quarter before the quarter was complete, with incomplete payroll information.
Understood. Okay. So.
And that's an assumption, I'm sorry. That's an assumption that because we could not actually get that information, that's an assumption that they got it in the middle of the quarter.
So, since their system hasn't caught up yet, I'm looking at, you said we have paid already, and please correct me if I'm wrong, $105,000 in interest and penalties have already been paid?
Yes.
So we paid that with our last payment, basically.
$105,831.87.
$105,831 and what?
87 cents.
87 cents already paid. Okay. And then, since it hasn't caught up yet, would it be, and I don't know if you can opine on this or say, would it be in the best interest for the city to go ahead and pay that, obviously we have to figure things out, but $98,946 so that we don't, as soon as they figure out which quarter it's from, like put the interest and the penalties on that? So is that
Yes.
much better to pay and sit at the IRS to show?
Yes. Yes, so any refund checks I've advised the mayor not to cash,
Yeah.
because if you don't cash them, that won't trigger any penalties. The IRS will assume they still have that money until you cashed it. But yes, it would be best to pay those as soon as possible, and we plan to get those amendments done this week.
So it's in the best interest of the city for us to pay, even though it doesn't show due yet, the $98,946 so that we don't accrue interest and penalties from whatever quarters, from whatever years.
Yes.
We will get interest and penalties when it's disclosed, but it will keep us from continuing to add to those.
Okay.
Correct.
When it's disclosed, so this money sitting there will help us, but we'll still owe.
Right. There will be penalties and interest up until the point that it was paid.
Oh, okay. And then a question: have you cross-checked like the number of employees with the pay? I'm assuming that number of employees for each quarter. Because sometimes we had fluctuation in staff, so you had that.
We have not done a comparison of number of quarters, number of employees on a 941.
Yeah.
We have not compared the number of employees on 941. No.
Is that something you'll be doing, or is it not beneficial?
I don't know that is beneficial. I think a more beneficial, if you're, what would be the goal in that? What would you hope to find
like on
through
your
that?
941s, you record number of employees, correct?
Yes.
And then you fill out. I've seen the form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very educated on the form, but I know that our employees, the numbers have fluctuated throughout these years,
Sure.
obviously. And so if the number, so you found these all these discrepancies, how do we know there's not discrepancies in the employee numbers that were reported, and then we're going to have more come up later, or is that even possible? Do you get where I'm going with
Yeah,
that?
the number of employees, and maybe you can speak to this in your experience, I have not seen any issues with the filing of 941s with number of employees being incorrect. It might be a cross-reference somewhere deep within the IRS with the 941s, number of W-2s. So, you're looking at, even each quarter, you're going to name the same employee, so they wouldn't even be able to slice and dice that number. So that number doesn't change. Now, speaking a little bit broader to that topic, if a concern is of a payroll report of actual employees and reviewing that and reviewing the payroll report of who's getting paid, I think serves a greater purpose there. The number of employees. I don't think number of employees is going to change anything with the IRS.
Okay. And then
I've
we're
never seen
any,
a penalty for putting the number of points out wrong or leaving them wrong.
Same here.
okay. Now, you said that any amendments or payments, it was supposed to be a 941X. Were any of those filed 941Xs between 2018 and present? Or were they all just 941s?
I know there have been at least 3 because I know Landmark did 3.
Oh, you filed them.
We filed 3 amended returns. We had additional returns prepared to do amendments on. I believe that the IRS has taken, the IRS makes it a little bit interesting because on 941s you end up with rounding issues. And so sometimes on their account transcripts, they're going to show originally filed and amended on every single one, whether they amended or not, because they're adjusting for a small penny rounding issue because of the fractions of percentages for the different taxes. So they show amended on all of them, even though they weren't necessarily amended. To my knowledge, the only amended returns done were from Landmark. I believe the IRS accepted a couple of, I'm confident the IRS accepted a couple of quarters where multiple 941s were filed, and they accepted the highest wage total, which happened to be the correct one, because there were a couple of recent quarters, 24 and 25, that ended up being correct,
Okay, thank you.
even though they originally were not correct.
Oh, okay. I do have one question about Cigna. So what is your overall walk away from Cigna? Were things done correctly? Like, because you said some things were too high, expenses were too high, I guess
I believe from an accounting standpoint, there were some things certainly done incorrectly. There was the liability was incorrectly created; it was overstated, and that relates to the summer plan. It should have offset what was hitting on the statement of activities to basically net each other out. The only thing that should have hit that Cigna liability or the employee benefit liability were the employee elective insurance premiums for the cancer policies, accidental death and dismemberment, the other policies that came along with that. That would have been the only true liability that would have been incurred there. The problem with Cigna is that the payments that went out for those benefits were posted to, and I can't remember the exact name of the liability account, but it was the health insurance liability account, which was a different account. And so again, that then gives you an inaccurate liability for the health insurance because you're paying a different benefit out of that liability account. So misposting from an accounting standpoint, making the financial statements inaccurate is what I found. Didn't find anything wrong with the deductions that were being made from the employees. I was able to walk that back, and well, sometimes you have to go back through that process a couple of times because it is a confusing process, and some of the numbers are determined by the insurance company, and you don't really have a lot of understanding of how those numbers were calculated, but we were able to tie back those deductions to the amounts that the insurance company provided for each employee for 2014 and 2015.
Okay. And sorry, one more
Oh,
question.
you're good.
Under liabilities, you said that you talked about a loan, but it's a loan maybe for a vehicle, but it wasn't marked correctly. Could you explain that a little further?
So, accounting is a dual entry system, right? There's a debit and a credit for every transaction. They have to balance. Accounting has to balance. So if you go and borrow money to acquire assets, typically you would increase your assets by the value of those vehicles, and if you financed 100%, you would increase your liabilities for that loan that you then have to pay in the future. So that's how that initial transaction happens. There's no cash that changed hands in that transaction. So there's no transaction from the bank to trigger you to code something or put something on your books. You have to know to input that journal entry to create that asset and that liability. That liability then has a payment schedule that is going to go for however long the loan repayment is. You create an amortization schedule on that loan payment to determine the amount that gets paid to principal, the amount that gets paid to interest. Interest gets expensed, principal reduces the debt. So essentially what I found, as one example, and forgive me if I'm incorrect in stating this because I don't have that right in front of me, because I saw multiple instances of different activities, different things. There was an account called Bond 999, I believe it was police vehicles. There was also a loan - police vehicles. There was also an expense account called police vehicles. And the same loan payment every month, it may have been posted to the Bond 999 account. It may have been posted to the loan police vehicles account. It may have been posted to the expense account for police vehicles. That loan payment was in different spots. And it also, in a couple of particular instances, there was not an initial loan on the books to offset. So you start with a loan of $250,000 and you make 5 years worth of payments, and by the time you get to the end of the 5 years, those principal payments have knocked that balance down to zero. And that's the way that liability should work. But because it was payments being posted to the liability with no original loan, it's just going negative. Bigger and bigger and bigger. And there was no interest split out either. It was just the full payment.
Could it have been that sometimes we purchase multiple police vehicles or at a time, or is this just for the one vehicle that you're referencing?
I don't know what the original loan was. I just see that there was a consistent loan payment and there was no original loan balance.
It's a loan amount, it's not per vehicle or it's for the loan, whether it was for 3 or whether it's for one.
Okay, but you're saying that payment could go into any one of these on the books? Any one of the 3 that you mentioned, the bond 999, loan, lease, and police vehicles?
It should have only gone to one, but it did go to multiple, yes.
So some months it looks like it was missing, and some months it was, so it's all inconsistent. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Correct.
That's all my questions. I appreciate it.
Good questions.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Any more questions? Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next is our planning report.
Good evening. Planning report for January. We've only had really one item on the agenda that I kind of talked about, I think, at the last meeting. Y'all were a little bit aware of it, but it's the rezoning for the property up on Farrar Lane, kind of at the intersection of Farrar Lane and Farrar Road. The bond property that had recently, I say recently, as of within the last couple of years, been rezoned under a PZD, and there are some new potential purchasers, and they would like to revert it back to the original ag rezoning that it was before the PZD, anyways. And this went before the Planning Commission, and they voted unanimously to affirm this rezoning request. And this is what's coming before you all this month. But that was the only item that we had on the planning docket for this month. So you go down to my typo where it says December City Council items. That's supposed to say January. Sorry about that. And that's what this is referring to. But other than that, under the general updates, we're continuing to work on the zoning code. We met with Garver last week, looking at incorporating some of the stuff from the downtown master plan. We're still working on the grant that we've got with the IRWP, looking at expounding upon that master plan with some of their properties and some of the city properties here. And that's for the CNU conference that we're going to be holding here in Northwest Arkansas later this year. And then we've also, still have multiple development projects that are in, different levels of review, whether it's staff, most of it's, in some sort of engineering, things like that. So, but nothing major going on right now. Usually this is the time of year things are, a little calmer. So that's all I have unless y'all got any specific questions.
I just had a comment. Your assistant did a wonderful job of helping me the other day understand some things, so I just wanted to let you know. She did a great job.
Appreciate it.
And was very professional. So.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then, if we have questions later on this or anything else, I'll come back up.
Next item on the agenda is Carl's report. He intended to be here tonight, but he is out sick. So next we will go to the City Council calendar, and y'all have to approve one of these each year. And this one has our current second Tuesday of the month as being work session, fourth Tuesday is council meeting, with the exception of November and December. And this year, November, we had we moved both the work session and the council meeting forward, and that worked. December wasn't a good situation because we left the work session where it usually is on the second Tuesday, and we did the third Tuesday as the regular meeting, and we really had, it really put the attorneys and everyone in a strain getting everything produced in time. So this year I've moved both of them forward a week, so we still have that 2-week separation. So that is the synopsis of what's in this, and if there are concerns or anything that come up with that particular calendar, let us know. We'll be glad to adjust.
For my two compadres down there. Mark and Erica, we changed to 6 o'clock. Is that better for you all than 6:30? Or 6:30 better?
6 o'clock is gonna be tight for me, but it's nice to get out here a little earlier. So that's why I'm always coming in a couple minutes 30. It depends on traffic too.
I couldn't agree more. Leave it at 6 then. Okay.
I'm good leaving it at 6, but it is a little tight also. Usually getting here at the last minute because I might have work meetings till 5:30 and 5:45 easily, but and the traffic's a little worse than it isn't. But that's fine. I'm good leaving it at 6:30 just about there at 6 because it is.
I'm fine with
it. Is nice to
I can be here anytime.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
I appreciate your consideration.
Yeah.
It is tighter.
Well, I will say that both of y'all texting this evening helps me know what to do and whether or not people are coming and whether we're having an oral or not. So that is very much appreciated as well. Anything else on the calendar?
No, looks good. And it doesn't interfere with any planning that could be adjusted due to holidays or anything, correct?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, perfect, because they are Monday night.
Right. Next item is the organizational ordinance, and I don't have that tonight. Justin is working on a new one because with some of the changes that occurred last year, it needs to be, there's some details that have to change in it. And so we will be getting that to you as soon as we have more information. The next one is the...
Oh, wait, 1 second, Randy.
Sure.
When you bring this to the meeting, could you do individual wards on the paper so that we can actually see the streets and...
We can't, that's not something that the streets are in there that I can blow up and see them. They're just not there. And some of that I will check with Northwest Arkansas Regional Planning and see if they can get more detail. But my understanding from the previous discussion, I'm not sure we can. I may have to go in and kind of overlay this with our city map on GIS and have to hand print a few of them in, and when I get that done, so you know the border streets.
That would be great, and I do see that this comes from Northwest Regional.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you could, it would be nice as a council member to have this as a go-to.
And that's something that I just got this late last week, and that is something that I'm looking at doing is if they can't add more detail, I will put the streets in there so that we can at least have an idea of what the borders are.
I have one question. Is this Shores right here?
That is Shores. Okay, the next item is a resolution authorizing the mayor to open a district court municipal bank account. And the reason for that is the laws changed at the last legislative session, and they went into effect in January. And one of those laws requires us to have a municipal court or district court municipal bank account to put the money in. That, from my understanding, part of it is the city's portion of paying the judge's fees and those things. So that is the purpose of that.
And it's to comply with Act 371 of 2025.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is the first one. The second one is to authorize us to open a bank account designated to Water Depreciation Fund. And the Water Depreciation Fund is tied to the Act 605 from 2021. That's why y'all had to take classes, and that's why at this point we're required to go ahead and open this account. And then the next one is the resolution to authorize the opening of a bank account for the Sewer Depreciation Fund under Act 925 of last year. And it very much mirrors the Act 605 for water. It does very much the same thing for sewer. So those are the three accounts that we're needing to open. Are there any questions about any of those?
All of them are required by the state.
By the state laws.
I did not question that.
Okay, item number 10, ordinance to rezone approximately 78.34 acres. And David mentioned that in his report. Do you have any questions or anything for him concerning that?
Got nothing.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Next item is a non-residential construction surcharge back payment. And what has happened a number of years ago, I think it was February of 23 is when we started collecting it. Ladies in the front office were directed that based on state statute, they needed to be collecting this 50 cents per $1,000 of surcharge on building permits that are for non-residential, for commercial or it does spell out residential as including like accessory buildings in a residential property, so it wouldn't be on a storage building or something like that. It would be for more of a commercial or industrial type building. And it's 50 cents on $1,000 up to a maximum of 1,000 per building. And we've been collecting this since 2023. There's been reports filed each month showing that we didn't do any this month, so it's 0, or we did some 2 this month, and it's $600, whatever it is. And when that report was turned in to Carl, and it was explained to him what it was, he contacted DF&A, because that's where it's deposited, and they have a form for that, and it's done every month, and that we actually take in the money. It's a different division of DF&A than any other tax. They do a different division for all their different forms for each tax. And when Carl got a copy of the form for this particular surcharge and was told that, okay, and we've been collecting it since February 23, and here's the form to fill out to make the deposits or to pay it in. And then they made the statement, would you like us to open you an account, because the city of Cave Springs doesn't have an account within the surcharge division of DF&A, which means we've never made this payment. We've been collecting it for 3 years, and we have collected over $13,000. We know the amount, it's in the resolution, but we have to pay back to 2023 for what we've been collecting. So that's, and there's a copy of the non-residential construction surcharge regulation at the front, and those amounts that should be deposited on the sheets behind.
There's that resolution.
The resolution isn't here yet. It's been submitted to Justin.
That's, looks like it's $13,680.05.
Okay.
$13,000
Yeah.
Will that come out of the general fund?
Yes, that's where it was paid into. So anything further there?
No.
The next item is the fire department Silverado. And you've got the paperwork in here for that truck. It was put in the budget at the first year when Gary was budgeting, but we still have to do the actual resolution giving authority to contract for it and make the purchase. Is there anything you want to add, Tony?
No, sir.
So what's the total price? Is it the 64 plus the 11?
Yes, sir.
But there are some deductions too. I think isn't it actually the 57 plus the 11?
Yeah, the lowest price.
The total price at the back is 57,915, and then I think it's that plus the 11.
To upfit it?
57 plus the 11?
57 plus 11, so
Okay.
it could be in the 68, 69,000.
Let me see what Justin is.
Randy, I have a
Yeah.
question. Or I have to wait for the question. Can I ask mine one?
Sure.
Or is it, do I have to wait till the special meeting?
On the
The tax one?
the tax one that's coming up,
Yeah.
that's in the special meeting.
Okay, never mind.
I'm trying to find out, okay, he just got out of his meeting.
You wanna take a break?
Yeah, we may have to take a break.
I could kill some time for a second,
Okay.
if you'll let me.
Sure.
The mayor didn't have it on the agenda today. We just got the numbers back today. In our budget, we've asked for 2 more patrol vehicles. And we've got those numbers now, and I would like to get that put as a resolution to go ahead and purchase those at our next meeting, if possible. I'll meet with Justin when he gets here. But we also have 4 patrol cars we're going to get rid of. We're trading in or selling back to the place where we're buying them. 2 of those, you guys passed a resolution last year for us to sell last year. Unfortunately, when I tried to get the titles, I was told I needed a resolution. We got the resolution. I never got the titles. So we didn't trade them in, but we're wanting to trade them in now. So it'll be essentially the same resolution as last year for those 2 vehicles, plus an additional 2 more that we're going to get rid of. I just wanted to.
Is there going to be a problem getting the titles this time?
I hope not. I wouldn't think so. We'll just get it. Once the resolution gets passed, I'll make sure to email the clerk and see if we can get the title signed and get them all taken care of. So I don't think it'll be a problem.
If I'm keeping score, I don't know, make sure I heard it right. We're trading Since we're trading 4 and we're buying 2.
Correct. Yeah.
And
But-
the numbers more,
They were supposed to have gone last year, but they didn't. We got to, and we didn't get rid of those 2. But we're going to get rid of them this year. But I just kind of wanted to throw that up there, and we have the dollars and cents and all that, and we'll have all that ready for the meeting in a couple of weeks if Justin can, because it'll take 2 resolutions: one to sell those cars, and a resolution to buy the 2. So, just wanted to give you an up-to-date on that. And our officer that got injured, he's slowly recovering. The one that tore up both his knees. It's going to take a while. Yeah, I don't figure him to be back for a couple more months at least. But he is walking, and he's walking without braces, which is impressive in and in itself, considering how much damage he did to himself. So, can't wait for him to come back. And then, of course, we still got one overseas that's been deployed. I don't think he's due back until June. But then once he gets back in the States, he's got to do I don't know the proper terminology, decompression period, where he won't be here for an additional month. So he can get reacclimated, I guess, to the world over here. So we'll probably get him back in July. So I foresee we'll get both of them back about the same time. But other than that, everything seems to be going pretty good, pretty smooth. Can't complain. And like I was talking to you earlier, stoplights are down on the ground out there. I don't know if you guys saw it, but they're coming. I can't wait.
Do you know what date?
I don't know. I just saw them down there on the ground and on the pallet, and they were working on them yesterday. I don't know if they were putting them together or wiring them or what they were doing. They're not hanging yet, but
And they have to flash for so many weeks?
yeah, they got to do that for a while, and then before they switch
I
it
think
over.
it's 1 week. If I'm not
Yeah, I don't know the exact date, how long they have to be on flash after they're active, but
And the
just to
stop
get
sign
people
won't
used to
come
it.
down Until the flashing stops, then they start working.
because it'll probably be, I would
Flashing
assume,
red,
yellow,
west.
north, south, red, east, west. I don't know that. I thought someone was walking up here. I thought maybe they knew. But
That was the email I got, is that the stop sign has to stay up during the time that they're flashing.
yeah,
And the traffic pattern will remain the same while they're flashing, so people get conditioned to the fact there's lights there. And then after, I think they said 1 week, they'll turn them on.
I just think it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful addition. Not only for us, I mean, we don't work that many wrecks there, but the wrecks that are there are usually pretty serious.
Yeah.
And, that'll minimize that, hopefully a bunch, to where if there is an accident, it's a minor rear end or something like that. And then, of course, with a couple new businesses being put in down there, the pizza place, and then what is it called? The antique? What is it? Boutique. I'm sure they'll appreciate that too. Their customers will be able to enter and exit safely. And of course, with the escape rooms there too, their patrons can leave there safely.
Well, I'm wondering I've seen places where they have a sign up that says stop light ahead. Well, I wonder if they'll put those.
That'll be done in accordance with the state highway department.
Yeah, I don't know.
State highway.
I mean, nothing says that we can't. I'd probably do that, but that would be up to you guys if the state doesn't do it.
We can't do it without their approval.
Correct.
They've got to permit anything like that.
Right.
Usually if they'll meet their approval, they will do it.
Right. Hopefully they will.
Because you got that hill.
That hill.
Right,
curve
yeah.
Right there.
It's I welcome it. It's just as well as I have. It's been a long time coming. And I'm just thankful it's finally coming. And maybe we'll get more stoplights throughout the city, like we were talking about earlier. But again, we'll see.
Well, Justin should be here in about 10 to 15.
I'm not going to sing and dance, so I'm
No,
not
you
going to
don't
kill
have
any more
to.
time. So
I have one question. Since we have a resolution for those vehicles before, do you amend an old resolution, or do you just come with a new resolution?
That's a Justin question, but I believe it will be that you just do the new one.
Since it's a new year.
Supersede. But he can confirm. So, we'll take about a 10-minute break if anyone needs to use the facilities or visit with your neighbors, whatever. We'll get started again as quick as the city attorney gets here.
be mindful all the mics are still hot.
These are all,
I'm turning.
You can do whatever you want,
that
but
one,
it's still that one's still hot.
that mic's still hot. Yes. Oh, did you find out Jones's favorite snack?
I did not.
Okay.
Oh,
I absolutely did not.
We need one of those stars.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one. Thank you.
Tony Grant, I know that.
I hope they got a name Ryan for the whole city. You know what?
No, I saw the T. I saw the T. That's why I looked.
Shit, I should let it go.
That's a little brother's name. It was 10 minutes I saw to listen to it.
No, it was quick.
That was nice. I listened to it. I usually listen to that like when I'm driving.
Big bang.
Not right.
No. Still out there?
Jump ship.
Justin coming from Town.
Yeah, when I texted him and said, what's your status? He said, well, just a couple of minutes ago and I'm on the way. I said, what's the estimate of time? And he said, about 20 minutes. And that was 10 minutes ago.
We're short-handed tonight, but Justin Lane, JJ, Jeremy, and of course, MCs.
Yeah, decisions have to be,
This is one not mine.
unanimous or they don't pass.
Yeah.
That's a work session, so.
We're about to go to a special call meeting on
Hey, the authorized bid was there.
I think that was one of them.
Let's go. Yeah, school, okay. It's like 6 years ago, I can't believe they ever
I think it's a good thing. It's like a sanitation, but I'm just not sure. Because he said that was for quarters, 19. This is
Is that breakers? How much for each one?
yeah.
It's in here.
It's the first sheet tells you the price. And that was a quarter, and stuff like it's not right. It'll say September 30th. 24 and 24 is coming next to the third quarter of that year.
Yeah.
This needs to be more than this.
No, I
Yeah, There's,
I looked it up.
there's 25 and 26.
Years and years and years and years
So that
ago.
means an additional two, so that would cover this.
This says if you're getting paid for this date, this amount.
Was
The interest will start or after.
But when this amount's not, this amount's not in there.
No, that's the second one, that's why I referred to you. Oh, that's that's that interest still again, which shows what we're. The next page is a different one, and the total is there for it.
I looked it up.
But it's not.
That's not, yes, it is.
Oh, there it is, 24, I got you. No, I just saw, when you see this number, it's the first page.
Yeah. And then the next number is right here on the next.
It's that clear, and every year, you know, you want more of the taxes, right? Penalties, not the back taxes, but so, it costs you more than what you say.
Oh,
Sometimes they show.
it's not very much. Okay, I'm not I'm testifying to my kid. I grew up in Nebraska, and then I moved to Texas.
Cold weather.
No, my dad's like, I'm testifying. I don't like snow anymore. Not Texas. Texas, it did snow. Like, towards the end of the playoff, this one was little. I had to use the side of the house that was shaded because it all melted so fast. You have to go and like, it's not.
Nebraska.
Oh, yeah. But actually, I have Nebraska plates on it because it was parked. They walked by one. They came in one day. So maybe there it was.
I was going to say, my guess that's an eastern part of the state.
Yeah, it does. It was very boring. So I used to play some cards. It is so.
I know.
But when you have to do it once a month, because I did every single transfer to I don't know when I get the places. I'm staying home, so I'll make the, see, I mean, it was late when I came back.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, but
I've actually said, I posted on the front page. So I posted on the front page because Arkansas is number one in and so I shared that. And I bought around this one and got something else that's hard to portray. For their campers. I also and then I dropped off the box today. Like I said, posted that, and then I wanted to use it. So I posted in Brentwood and a veteran, of course, walked down. I was outside with the neighbor, and he's like, oh, because I said, hey, I'm going to support. I thought you were on I had to go find his face because I couldn't picture it.
Yeah.
that's where I'm
I got to walk down and then this other lady that came. I had a pair of tonight. She don't so I asked she when I said
Let's go ahead and get back to the meeting. Is there anything from the work session, any points you want to make before we close it and move into the call meeting? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to close out our work session and enter into the special meeting. Got a motion by Mike, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Erica. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And that did pass. And I, of course, said aye as well. So it did pass. So, next, or first item on the agenda for the special meeting is a resolution to authorize payment of the back IRS payroll tax. That's your first item here. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion by Erica. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a question for you. Sorry, I lost my page. Now, this is in addition to the already that we still owe, correct? So we still, or is this, do we take this amount that we're paying in this resolution and subtract it from what we owe, the $98,946?
The resolution should be the same amount. It should be that same, paying those same taxes. Is the dollar amount different?
The resolution has the taxes for the 2024 third quarter and the 2025 third quarter. These are not for 2019, 2020, or 2021 like you were talking about earlier. So these would be in addition to that 98, wouldn't it?
So in that context, yes, that is correct.
Yes, because you listed out, okay, I see now my notes. So the 98,946 is quarter one, 2019, quarter two, 2020, quarter three, 2020, and quarter two of 2021. Okay,
Yes.
so we owe this in addition
Correct.
to that recommended amount that
So
we paid.
we're not even paying the 98,000.
No, because this is,
We'll have to do that in the next meeting, yes.
can we do that in the next meeting?
We've got to submit those amended ones that he was talking about, the 941X is my understanding, and then when we will get the form just like this telling us what to pay, and we will do it then.
I would recommend paying with the amended 941.
Oh, with the 941, we can do that too. If you show instead of a zero at the bottom, you show what you owe, then you can pay on that.
Right.
But we need a document with the IRS to pay against one of that.
Can we get that for the next meeting?
Yes.
Figure that out?
I'll have the amendments done. Yes.
And then, so we'll have a resolution by the next meeting then, do you think?
Would that be a January meeting in 2 weeks, or would that be the February meeting?
I can have those amendments done this week, so however long it takes to get it ready, I could have my part done.
Okay, then we'll add that to the January meeting and get it out of the way.
Okay, as soon as possible, our back taxes on the
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you.
Right.
Understand we still have to deal with the penalties and interest.
Yeah, there'll be another
There will be,
payment even after that.
and that notice comes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's been my experience. So, okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
I,
All opposed, and I vote in the affirmative as well. All opposed say no, and that passed 4-0. You don't know the resolution number we're on now, do you? Oh, it's number 1.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah.
2026-01. That should be pretty easy. And the next item on the agenda is the ordinance to vacate the alley and the right-of-way for the road that was never put in, and for the Haney's. And that has been requested by the petitioner to table at this time. Do I hear a motion to table until our next meeting?
so moved.
Got a motion by Erica. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mark. Any further discussion? Or does that require, not to table it, doesn't require a roll call, does it?
No, it doesn't require a roll call vote. My understanding, Mike, maybe correct, I got an email earlier today that they wanted to make sure there were more council members.
Right.
It takes 4 votes to pass anything, and so I had emailed earlier about the fact that we were going to have 3 council members here today, and so they had emailed back and said that there's only 3 they prefer to have it pushed to the city council meeting. We'd have a fuller bench, so that's what that was for.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And that is approved. And I as well, that's tabled. So we will address that next meeting. The only other thing that I'm aware of, do I need to announce now that we can accept
So that's correct. So you do have a resignation that I think you're going to accept at the January.
At the January meeting, we'll be accepting the resignation, but people can start sending in, if they're interested, their resumes or information sheets.
Yeah, there's no problem with that. Council at the January meeting, you're going to be announcing creating the vacancy, and then the vacancy will need to be filled in the February meeting. But there's no prohibition on putting the information out there and letting people know.
We do have the ward maps at City Hall. I will be posting those as well on the city website, and anyone that's interested that's in Ward 2 is welcome to send their information sheets or resumes and to me, and I will gather those and make copies for the council, and they'll be provided at the next work session so they can review and be prepared for that next meeting. If there's nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Got my motion by Erica, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mike, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Hey.